Hello and welcome to the year that we started a podcast born from the ever piling rubble that is 2020. Although I will say, I've had a pretty good week. But anyways, I am your co-host Jeff.
And I'm your other co-host Nick.
And this is our podcast. We're a couple of friends, half a continent apart, that want to come together and talk about the things that are fun and interesting to us. Nick.
Yes.
So I had a pre-planned topic that I wanted to talk about. But before we dive into that, I had a little bit of a reminder of something that is a topic in our household right now, which we did not prep for at all. And that was our Christmas clock that goes off every hour and plays a Christmas jingle.
Oh, no.
So I want to know for you and your house, what is the appropriate time to, Christmas? What's the appropriate time to Christmas?
So Jen's not like much of a Halloween vibe girl. She's not like get decorations for all the scary stuff. Jen was ready to put up Christmas decorations on the 1st of November. She did not. Jen is my wife, for listeners who, don't know my life personally. She did not put anything up yet, but we have bought some extra stuff to decorate our porch and our stuff outside of our apartment building. And it was basically ready to go. I let her drive my car one day to work, and I came into my car, and it was on a new Christmas station that I didn't know we had because I don't have Sirius XM, and it was loud. I would turn on my car, and I got blasted.
I'm not sure that our wives know this about one another, but you didn't actually answer the question, Nick. When is it okay to decorate? When's it okay to become a Christmas house?
As the person who doesn't, make those decisions, apparently the thing is the moment it turns midnight after Halloween.
Oh, okay. So So have you guys done any Christmas decorating at this point?
Not yet, but
okay.
That is mostly mostly circumstantial. That is not because the energy isn't there. The energy is ready to go. She's good. She's good.
That's amazing. So yeah, ours was last weekend. Was the break out the Christmas tree, get all the house ready, and apparently the Christmas clock too, which at the time of recording was right at 9 o'clock or right after 9 o'clock, as the clock would do whatever random Christmas jingle was chosen for the 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah, well, most people can probably relate, but I spent years in retail, and just all kinds of songs that you might hear in retail that are repeated forever when you're on a 10-hour shift of hearing freaking Mariah Carey's Christmas thing. It's not even anything against Mariah Carey. It's just I can't do it anymore, man. It's
you didn't have to say the song name. I literally had flashbacks. I literally had flashbacks to my time at Blockbuster. Was. Oh man, everywhere.
Yep.
So yeah, like I said, not the actual intro topic. Nick, before we started recording, to take a step back. When we first started this podcast, one of the very first thing I put in the show notes as far as a recurring segment was the thing. What did I actually call it?
This week I hurt myself. Yeah, and so I've shared a couple stories. Last episode or episode before that, I shared how I stomped down the stairs on a bunch of tacks to spite my brother. But I knew that it would happen, and Nick, this week it happened. Let's go.
So I sent you a text with a picture of what I had done to myself.
Yeah.
It wasn't the worst thing I've ever had, but it was pretty rage-inducing at the time. So I've given you an hour now. What's your best guess as to what happened?
So I feel bad. I didn't get any great smart guesses. I can tell.
I need to cut you off. So Nick, a smart guess doesn't matter because
fair.
The way that I hurt myself is not smart. For example, on the same leg that I sent you a picture of, I would have been 3 years ago, was weed eating with shorts and flip-flops on because I was getting ready to go play basketball. And, I needed to hurry. So it didn't really matter what I was wearing. I just needed to get it done. And it wrapped around the wheel of my garbage can and whipped in and whipped out and caught most of my shin with it.
Oof.
And have I ever shown you that?
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, the injury today might be something for the show notes. That one, however, is not one for the show notes. That's a little bit too graphic.
I will say, I felt like when we were starting this and you showed me that this week I hurt myself, I was like, oh yeah. That's a good recurring theme because I do know that you get hurt all the time. Like our relationship has covered a lot of anecdotes.
Your need for a smart guess, however, is misplaced because you do not need a smart guess as to how I hurt myself.
That's fair. Okay, so it looks to me like there's like wood involved in that cut. The way that the cut is kind of like abrasive is like it kind of looks like you had like a run-in with like crappy wood. So Jen and I were talking about it, and I didn't have a good answer, but I was thinking like a stupid slip on a step or something like that, or like around a workbench or something. That's all I've got. I apologize that it's not funnier.
No. Like when I looked at it, it did kind of look like I had slipped and then caught the backside of my heels on something that was a little sharp or like a rough piece of wood. No,
exactly.
So here's what happened. I was trying to hurry before I need to do a little bit of prep for our podcast, and so I was trying to hurry in taking my trash to the curb. And it's really windy here in Kansas. Freaking surprise. And I was taking the trash can down, and the wind caught it and blew it like out from underneath my arm, and like caught the I don't even like this is hard to describe in audio, but basically the wind caught it, and the front side of the trash can caught the back side of my heels, and just tried to separate the skin off my Achilles.
I just want to let you know, this week your injury happened taking the trash out.
Right, yeah, taking the trash out. And you know me, I'm not really one to swear much, but there were some choice words I had to say at that freaking trash can.
Well, I understand how that can happen, Jeff. Taking the trash out is a perilous journey. It is a perilous undertaking.
Yeah, similarly to, I think in the very first episode about how hard it would be to go out and take the trash out with just your own thoughts without a podcast. Apparently, similarly, you need to have like reverse shin guards. I don't even know.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's extra podcast listening time. You can just get yourself, babe. I really got to pad up here.
Yeah. One other, so we've talked about random references to prior podcasts. One thing that when I was doing the edit on our most recent episode 3, it reminded me of one of my favorite high school classes. Like I didn't deserve to get the grade that I got because I told you the Spanish one where I basically just showed up. So this would have been in I want to say junior year. I don't know. We had a mediocre social studies teacher that year. Actually, I don't know what the actual class was. I don't freaking know. Geography. It was the quiz that I was having to take. And I was a pretty good student growing up, but I occasionally would get distracted by video games or sports or video games or also video games. And so sometimes I would wake up and I would show up to class and I wouldn't really know what all I would have needed to done to do a good job being a good student. Well, one of these times I had a geography quiz, which to this day I am mediocre at geography on a good day. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do bad, and like I didn't want to just I can name the continents that we have. I can name a good 20% of the countries in the world. Like I could fake it a little bit. Yeah. I don't remember what continent this was where we had to name a bunch of countries. Probably somewhere out in Europe. I had a good idea on a good 10%. But again, like I was known as a good student. Like I wanted to be all
A's except for the one class or whatever, right? So
yeah. So I wanted to keep up the illusion that I was good at being a student. So I didn't really know what to do because I didn't even have an idea. Like I couldn't even guess. Like it wasn't like, oh man, I wonder if this is Belgium or Belarus. Like I had no idea what to even write down. Oh my God. But I didn't want to write down nothing. And so I wrote down the ones I knew, which again, a good
10%.
A good 10%.
Solid.
And
so you're in a good standing.
On the other 18 of them, I just scribbled illegibly. And I missed
Oh my God.
I missed none.
What? You got all
none. I turned them in. Nick, it was like okay, this is Belgium, this is Paris.
This is a burned out teacher who is just over it. This is a teacher It's just moving on with his life.
And like, I would understand like if they looked like countries' names, but they didn't even look like a single letter. Like there was no legible letter. It was like I switched from like sloppy writing that I have when I'm writing quickly to illegible cursive, and I feel guilty to this day. More so, honestly, than the Spanish one, because in the Spanish one I had good intention, like I was wanting to do extra credit. This one I just didn't want to look like a fool and turn in a blank paper.
Oh my god, that's great. How did you get away with thinking that you were such a great student? All of your stories so far have been about how, I wasn't a great student, but somehow my teachers got me an A.
It turns out if you try really hard, 50% of the time you just get the benefit of the doubt. Right. The other 50%.
Hey, that's a good life lesson, I think. I think that's a good life lesson. Maybe. Who knows?
I would say that it is not a good life lesson. That doesn't really scale well.
One of us got all A's except for one class in high school, so I don't know if the other one has any ground to speak on about,
I recently, in the number of podcasts I listened to, had something that brought up a memory of a thing that I had heard about a very, very long time. Well, I guess 4 years, which feels like a million years ago. And I think it actually kind of hit, like, it was kind of internet famous there for a while, back in the day, back in 2016 or so. But have you, like, what all do you know about adjective order?
Well, when you say that, it feels broad. Are we talking about like just explicitly in English, or do you mean between different languages, or what do you mean?
So I'm talking specifically in English.
So when we're saying adjective order, do you mean just relative to the noun, or do you mean relative to other adjectives?
Relative to other adjectives.
Literally nothing. I know nothing. I think I just use them all interchangeably. Like I might say that's a big dumb house versus a dumb big house. Like I guess it's not true. I guess.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I think you're onto something here. So, what do you think?
You wouldn't say dumb big house, right? Like you'd say big dumb because
exactly, and that's like what is so fascinating. So the concept is, and it's like a thing that we've never you're not taught in school, but you like intrinsically learn while you're a kid, is the order that you use adjectives. And I'm just going to read them off verbatim here. This is straight off the Googler, so it's probably not exactly perfect. You use adjectives in the order of opinion, size, physical quality, shape, age, color, origin, material, type, purpose. Which, again, not a thing that you probably learned in school, but is like so intuitive. So like I wrote down a couple examples of like ones that I made up of like how obvious it is that we would never say things in the wrong order. But like you never learned this. So like with reference to my truck, which I think you may have seen last time you were here, but I still have my worn down old gray truck is the thing that you would say, but you would never say I still have my grain worn down old truck, because that sounds like a crazy person. Or also like I really like my awesome big brown desk that I have that I'm looking at right now, but you would never say I really like my big brown awesome desk. Because that sounds like, again, like a crazy person.
Yeah, it does.
It's just, I don't know. It was a random thing that I found so interesting. Like it's
well, what's the I mean, I see your exact your points, and I think that like the examples are made. What's interesting to me there is I feel like this is super ubiquitous or universal. Like I have never heard anyone screw this up. Really, you know what I mean? I don't think I've ever heard someone use like the color in the wrong spot. I've never heard someone say the blue tall thing. You know what I mean? Like I've never.
Yeah.
I can't think of examples of thinking to myself, oh wow, someone phrased that weird. And I'm probably exaggerating myself, and there's probably like minor instances of doing it in the wrong order or whatever, but like it's interesting to me that without us ever being formally educated on this is something that just is intrinsically obvious about the language.
Yeah, and the example that I heard that was like, oh man, that's so simple but so obvious is like, that is a big red barn, but you would never say, oh, that's a red big barn. Like it just sounds that's so weird.
that sentence made my ears cringe. They were upset by that one. But yeah,
but it's interesting because that is actually like adjective order is one of the reasons that English is considered to be so hard to learn. That the adjective follows the noun in other languages, often follows the noun in other languages. But not only does it precede the noun, it's also in a very specific order that is not that doesn't feel natural to foreign speakers.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's really weird, and I thought it was really fun. And as a former person pursuing a English major, I feel like you would maybe appreciate that a little bit.
I do, especially as something like I took creative writing courses, I took advanced English courses. That was never. I can tell you that never came up. That's never. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so Jeff, have you played any of like Overcooked or any? I have it listed here as party games, but that's not really what I'm looking at. Like what I'm thinking about, because there's been a big boom of party games in the last couple of years of Jackbox games, and you and I have actually played some a little bit, but Jen and I have been playing more couch co-op games, especially in quarantine or pandemic, and it has been super fun, and it feels like it's a really niche little genre of stuff, and I feel like we grew up with it.
Yeah, so Katie and I have the beginning days of our relationship were actually very founded in gaming, and recently,
Same here.
Come and gone with other games, and I think our most recent thing that we've played together was Diablo on the Switch. Which only lasted a couple nights before, kids wear that down pretty quick. But
fair.
No, I 100% can see that. We haven't really gotten anything here in the last few months that I've done that. Like been a good, time sink, but like we've mostly been on shows and stuff like that. But what all stuff have you gotten into?
So there's been 3 in particular. One was actually more than a year ago, but Overcooked 1 and 2 is a co-op game that you can get on all kinds of systems, but I know it's on Switch and on PC.
Yeah.
There's another one called Snipper Clips, which is a short game, but it's really fun.
Was that like one of the earlier ones on the Switch, or?
I believe so. I don't think any of these are especially new. Okay. And then we played the new Mario on Switch, Mario Odyssey, with her being the hat for it.
Oh, the reason is that okay? Hold on, is that fun? Because I definitely enjoyed Mario Odyssey back in the day, but we never played co-op with it.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely like the hat. I feel bad. It's definitely not as engaged as Mario, but Jen enjoyed it. Like she was fun. You have a lot more control of the hat. I don't know if you remember that when you throw the hat, you can kind of like flick the controller.
Yeah.
And well, the player who's playing the hat can just go wild. They can just go like rampant as long as they're within range of you. They just get to like spin around and just jump from spot to spot and kill everything.
Is it like still one screen, or does it split?
Yeah, just the one screen.
Okay, cool.
The reason I say all this is that, one, this has been really cool for us. You and I have both probably played way too much time playing like kind of more competitive games, and now that we're adults with adult responsibilities, I feel like I do not have time to be good at video games, and it's kind of a bummer in its own way. Like it's not a big thing to lose, but can't spend 30 hours a week playing League of Legends so you can get whatever rank you want when you have...
Not responsibly, anyways.
Yes, correct. So I've definitely fallen out of playing video games very much, and I have a hard time getting into a lot of video games, but the couch co-op thing has been super fun, especially because Jen is even further leaning into that of like really not getting into games for very long, or not very many games. And so having kind of sillier, easy couch co-op games has been so fun. They are dangerous. If you have couch co-op games, there are definitely ways that this can blow up in your face and your wife can get mad at you for, why are you being mean to me? Or something like that, which is more on me than it is on her. But...
So of Overcooked and the Snipper, whatever the heck.
Oh, Overcooked they're both really fun. I think Overcooked is both more engaging and has more content, which isn't a dig on Snipper Clips, but Overcooked, dude, you should definitely check it out with Katie, because it's like you can just pick it up and play for 20 minutes if you have 20 minutes and you're just trying to kill some time.
Yeah.
Or if you want to play for like 3 hours, there is a lot. You don't have to be super talented at video games. You don't have to be a sick sniper. It's just you. It's a cooking game, right? So it's literally just you guys in a kitchen, and like you guys gotta like coordinate who's gonna do the chopping of the vegetables and who's gonna get the plate out the door to the patrons at the restaurant or whatever the hell. And it's super fun.
Yeah, I could definitely see enjoying that. And we've really enjoyed with different groups playing the Jackbox series, and I think I think something like Overcooked that's just us would be a good. You can't always have a group of friends ready to play at your beck and call. So I think having something like that would be fun.
Fun
for sure. So, and probably one of the strongest changes in topic that we'll ever possibly have. I want to talk a little bit about building things. Nick, this almost sounds like an insult, but I feel like you're not very much interested in, doing construction-y type things.
It's a little hard.
We've never talked about it.
No, we haven't, and it's a little hard. I'm not disinterested by any means. I've actually watched a fair amount of videos of people building stuff that I find really interesting. It's hard when you have perpetually rented, in an apartment.
California people.
Yeah, and you poor people. No, not poor, but no, I know. But people, I rent, right? So I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment or whatever, and there's just I can't go out and build a deck, right? So it's not as. But go ahead. What's going on with you with building?
No, so nothing recently, but I did want to talk about it to give some context as to why I'm interested in it. One, it is a very good source for This Week I Hurt Myself segment. I just happen to not be doing anything currently. The actual reason why I'm interested in it is because I put together I don't know, it's a stupid shed that I put my mower and a couple other things in my lot next to my house, and it's like a pre-built thing with canvas covering, and it ripped recently. I really debated whether or not I wanted to build a shop or a small shop or a shed or something. With all the things that we had going on in our life at the time, it just didn't seem feasible to do. But right. I've really enjoyed doing that sort of stuff. I finished the basement in our current house. Katie and we kind of remodeled our first house that we moved into, and then remodeled the second house we moved into that we then ended up accidentally flipping. And then our third house, finished the basement. Well, finished the basement's a little strong. Much of the sheetrock was already done, but we built a bar and did all the.
I love your bar too.
Already. Yeah. Have you been to our new house? I don't.
No, but I have not been to the new one, but I loved your old bar, I should say.
Okay, well, you'll really like the new one. I'll send. Have I even sent you pictures of that?
I think you might have sent me some, but I'm not sure if it was a completed thing. I know that you sent me at one point some progress pictures of your basement, just a little bit though.
I probably sent you things where I've hurt myself, honestly.
Fair. Fair.
But no, so we. I don't know, half finished our basement. I built the shower in our master bathroom, and we redid the flooring there. So I enjoy that sort of thing. This summer I built part of our fence in our lot that we bought, and so I've really enjoyed that. I guess if I were to chalk it up to anything, I enjoy doing something that is different than my day-to-day. Again, which is part of why I like
totally fair
doing this podcast. Even that is not exactly the sort of escape that I like.
So I don't want to play armchair psychologist with you. One, because I'm not qualified to, and two, because you have a psych degree.
I do. Yeah.
But I've read articles and watched a video or two about this, or not about this specifically, but about. We have this giant population now where there's a lot, and we have a big service industry here in America. And the point being that a lot of us are more removed, especially in our work, from the product or the company that we're representing, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that anything against people in marketing. I have my sister, my brother-in-law, and my sister's fiance are all in marketing. But if you're marketing a product, you're not necessarily attached to the development of it. You're not necessarily attached to what it actually is. Right. You're not a piece in a cog, or not a cog in a machine, but you're a piece of a bigger puzzle, and you're a little bit removed from that product. And it's a literal psychological thing that people are very satisfied and happy with. Feeling as people genuinely feel more connected to something if they do almost all of it themselves. So even if it's not a huge, consequential, life-changing, society-changing thing, if you build a fence, you might be more happy with that than you might be with your traditional, office job or whatever it may be. That you're 6 or 7 steps removed from, and you're one of 1,000 people at a company or whatever it may be. That's not to say anything bad about working for a big company, just that it's a really nice way to change things up, but it's also very common. I think that part of the reason that people do this stuff is that there's a genuine like sense of accomplishment and a genuine sense of connectedness, and like this is my work. I personally put in the blood, sweat, and tears. This is my thing. And if you're
it is something that I is equal part the nice, you know, distance from the sort of stuff that I typically do, which I love what I do, but it is nice to have something else that is a more you know, using my hands and doing things and creating things.
Totally.
And you wouldn't expect it as a person who grew up as a shy kid that enjoyed video games, but I do really enjoy the labor part of stuff. But I also enjoy the creative process. Like when I was in high school, we had an art class that we had to do just at least one class of. When we very first did our first class, we had to have our first project. I did pottery, and I really, really enjoyed doing pottery. Like I enjoyed learning how to spin on the wheel and the whole process, and I enjoyed creating things. And so I just asked, like, can I do this, like, for all my, because you're supposed to do like painting and some Photoshop stuff and some, you know, all the other things that you can art and
all the arts,
all the arts. But I asked, can I just do this? And actually, me and another friend of mine, we asked if we could do that as all of our projects. And so I think it was like 13 projects. I was able to do all of mine that were just pottery stuff. And
that's actually awesome.
Yeah, no, like, and I very appreciate my teacher's willingness to do that, because I got to learn how to be good at creating things.
Just another way that your teachers enabled your good grades without you having to step out of your comfort zone.
I guess we're not too bad after all here in Kansas. But no, it was really good, and I didn't create anything that was fantastic. But what I did learn was how satisfying and how rewarding it can be to learn how to get better at doing something.
And working with your hands, right? That's really cool. Hands.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And to step backwards, I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the bigger thought, but building a shed for whatever it may be, you know, all those stupid things that you have in your garage that you just feel like they take up way too much room. Our garage is here. We're lucky that this apartment has a 2-stall garage, but it's a 2-stall front and back, where the cars barely squeak in, like the mirrors. I always have to go about 1/4 of a mile an hour to make sure I'm not scraping my mirrors on the way in. And there is room for nothing. And all I want to do is build a shed. That is exactly up my alley. All I want in the world is a shed in a yard somewhere. So whenever we upsize, I want to be able to have either a bigger garage, or I would love to build like just a little shed. Nothing crazy, but something for whatever tools and whatever.
Yeah, and so I will say the other part is probably a little bit genetic, because my dad, when he was, I don't know, gosh, I would have been 10 years old, which would have made my dad, let's call him late 30s, early 40s. I don't know.
Sure.
We'll figure it out later. But no, he built our entire house that he currently lives in, that I grew up in. And
that's right.
Yeah, so it was, which you have been to, I'm like 99% sure.
Yes.
And did everything except for pour the concrete for the basement, and I think they paid to have the shingles put on the roof just to hit a inspection deadline. But otherwise, built the entire house, a 2-story house with a basement, which is just, that is so much stuff to do.
And what a thing to be able to say, like, I built this home for my family. I built this home that my kids can grow up on and look back at all their memories, and
No, it's really, really cool. And so I probably have a little bit of that in me, for sure. But I really, really enjoy doing something that I don't know how to do, but I'm willing to figure out how to do it. And I may not do it perfectly. Similar to this podcast, you know, we're not going to do it perfectly, but it's really fun to learn how to do. And so, like, I really, it's going to be, you know, a little pricey to build our own little shop back there on our lot. To build a shop on our lot would be fun and expensive, but also a really rewarding experience, I think, and has the great benefit of being able to put all the junk in the garage in there, because like our little makeshift thing that we bought from the big box stores here, you know, last year, that lasted a whole 11 months. Like, that was super nice to get stuff out of a garage, but I would love something a little bit more permanent, and
definitely
a little bit more usable. But it's a lot of fun building stuff.
I agree. And to go back to one of your other points is, like, I also think, I think that this is not something I learned in one of my armchair psychology articles, but I think we all are better off and happier off if we're developing multiple skills and kind of living a more diverse life. We have less of that, oh my God, I just do this one thing in my life, that's all I am. If we're kind of improving ourselves, even in things that aren't super critical. That's what's been really good for me just historically in my entire life with sports and just other physical activities, is that you can kind of pour yourself in or in an even less useful way as video games, is like pouring yourself into learning something, even if it's not important, can just be really satisfying and really helps you feel a little bit more dynamic and diverse, and being able to have that also be something that's genuinely useful. Like, hey, I have this shed now or a shop that I can do things with, is just icing on the cake, or probably actually more than that. Maybe the learning things is the icing on the cake there, but whatever.
Oh, man. Also, I'm going to hate you so much in the edit because you're leaning back and forth in a chair or twisting something or something.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep the ADD at bay, I swear.
I'm definitely going to leave that in just to give you crap.
Yeah, fair.
So, Nick, you this Saturday are going to be doing some more D&D stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, this Saturday.
Since we last talked, you have done a few things to kind of prep for that, and we haven't really talked about it. I want to know.
So we had a pre-session where we talked about the world more, and we talked about character. We built our characters. I built mine on the spot, and our group is bigger than I thought it was. We have,
how big is it?
5 other so it's 7 total. 5 other
okay.
5 or wait, sorry. But yeah, 7 total. 5 other players besides me and the GM. And
hold on. So 7 total. 5 other players. Wait,
besides
5 other. Okay, so okay. I was
6
like,
players.
What's another person
though.
doing? Just
stenographer,
just like, taking notes.
No, they're just burning people. Just giving them crap the whole time.
Okay,
that's the role I want. But no. But so 6 players and the GM, and we went over the world. Went over a whole bunch of stuff. My GM is fun. He has like little secrets for all of us based off of, I think, just our race. I think mine was based off of my character's an orc, and so like he had like little secret things about being an orc or whatever. So that was fun.
Do you have a name yet?
Yeah, I do.
Can you share it on here?
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna type it to you. Okay. It's pronounced Malus. Okay.
Malus.
So it's supposed to be kind of like Malice, but like a little bit off. The world, in his own terms, is a kind of grimdark or just dark world, and our campaign's we're calling it Wayward Souls, or his is world that's gothic fantasy, sort of a mix between 2 different games or whatever, with no large established what's the word? He has a different word in here somewhere. I don't know, settlements. So the populations are relatively spread out. And so most of the other people, I wanted to very much not just be exactly like everybody else, but most of the other people that we're playing with are very fun, happy-go-lucky guys. Mm-hmm. And halfway through, we realized that everyone that we had in the group was either just a goofy or just very goody character, like goody two-shoe, not goody two-shoe, but they were like, their alignment would be something good, right?
Right, yeah.
So I wanted to have a kind of like for lack of a better word, I wanted to have a
oh heck yeah!
So
okay.
So literally, the name is a play on Malice. I haven't told any of them that. That's just my personal thing. We're using some homebrew content because they do that. So I have a role or a class that is called Blood Hunter. It's not one of the traditional D&D 5th edition classes. No. And it was described to me as basically Witcher. Witcher.
Dang, okay.
Yeah. Nobody else had like a traditional strengthy fighter, so I wanted to be, so I was cool taking the role, and I'm gonna be, but I'm not gonna play it very Geralt-like, because Geralt's very charismatic, and I think that trope is fun when you're playing a video game, but like if I just am like the charismatic, good guy who just also is a little sarcastic, I don't think that's as fun. I could do that for sure. And that character is always super fun in all types of media. But so I'm gonna kind of be A little bit selfish is my game plan.
Okay.
I haven't told them all that, but I told my GM, I was like, can I play kind of like a jerk? And he laughed at me and just said, please do.
Yeah, I was literally going to say, please do. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And this is my first campaign, so I'm playing with a bunch of people who know what they're doing, and they're all making like really good. It was really fun and really funny, and they like one guy already has a great voice for his character. He's playing he's playing like a high elf cleric with like, and we rolled our random stats, and he rolled like the lowest possible roll. And he threw it in Constitution or HP or whatever it is. So he's like the most fragile high elf character, and he just keeps saying about like, well, the lesser races do have much more limited lifetime to accumulate knowledge, and also just general sophistication. And he's like really leaning into the snooty, like this, yeah, exactly, the snooty church going like academic, right? And I'm like so ready to just play off that as like the most like just genuinely douchey character as I can be. Without I'm not gonna like lay into it for every. I'm not gonna try and like hijack the table or the discussion.
Man. Like I remember we were doing our campaign, and like some of those random rolls are so defining for like all the entire campaign of like who your character is, just because you happen to roll terribly at the beginning or very well at the beginning. That's awesome. So,
did you guys do random stat generation?
Yeah.
So, this is the reason I say is so we all did random stat generation, right? And the average should be 72, I believe, as your total stat score. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say is that our groups are 72, 79, 83, 79, 72, and then mine, which was 87. I got like perfect rolls. I got like fantastic rolls. So I get to be the scrub playing the newbie who's playing the Witcher class, who is the jerk and also is apparently overpowered at the gate.
So my favorite thing is like people that roll really well or really poorly in charisma. So like, what's your charisma score?
They asked me to switch I had it as my worst score, but but they asked me to switch it because none of us have good charisma. Okay. Like everyone, we realized it after the fact, but we were like, wait, not a single one of us has good charisma. So I think my charisma is 13.
Okay.
Yeah, my charisma is 13.
Playing, it's just really funny. Like if you have people bought into playing the good charisma versus bad charisma rolls, like it's, I don't know, like purposefully real. Honestly, as a DM, it's super fun because then you can, play it off as like, wow, you just whatever missed completely on the person you're talking.
Oof. Yeah, I love it.
But that's super cool. So you guys play on Saturday? That's all right?
Mm-hmm. That's the plan right now.
Oh man, how long?
Which tells you about my life. I have nothing else going on Saturday nights. So I guess that's just COVID times.
Yeah, that's how it is these days. Last time we talked a little bit about screen time.
Yep. Speaking of COVID times and how it affects our Saturday nights,
but more specifically, speaking of current times and the combination of the two. I purposefully haven't checked recently what how I was trending.
And did you try this week to kind of just like, hey, I told myself about how bad it's being?
I genuinely did, and I thought about the time that I would have to come and talk about this on the podcast. Like, and that genuinely, I think, helped. Like I said, I haven't checked it recently.
Time will tell.
Do you remember what I said last time?
No, I don't.
It was like 5 hours. Actually, it was more than 5 hours.
5 hours a day. More than 5 hours a day, right?
Yeah, more than 5 hours a day. So let's see here. Okay, so my weekly average. Well, it's about down 2 hours.
Dang, that is significant, sir.
Well, I was really hoping that it would start with a 2. Still running around the 3 hour, 20-minute
mark. 40% drop is very significant.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
But like, spending an extra, because again, there's the 8 hours of sleeping and 8 hours of working, and so the other part goes directly to family time. So I'm gonna go ahead and say I either spent 2 more hours with my family or 2 more hours, I don't know, watching Paw Patrol
stuff on your
something.
TV.
I don't know.
No. I was going to ask you about all the amazing things you've got accomplished with your extra 2 hours a day.
I didn't get anything more accomplished, but I don't even know how to quantify this part, I genuinely do feel happier. Like there's no way around it. I got our last episode edited way earlier than I typically would have. I mean, we're recording this and it's already, the previous episode's already posted, which we'll talk about a little bit at the end, but it felt a lot less emotionally attached to the things going on than I would have felt the last few weeks.
Definitely.
And I think that's really good. Like it's good to be informed. I don't want to say that like shutting yourself off to the news is the way to go, but I think you can certainly limit that in such a way that you can still.
Right. I think you're completely right. I think that it's a hard line to draw, especially in today's age where we have this we have more technology, more access, and more whatever than ever, and we have polarizing times, and we're all shutting doors and whatever else. But it's I think you're totally right. You have to stay informed, but you also have to be cognizant of the fact that overexposure is not good for you. It's bad for your health. It's probably bad for your ability to accurately gauge stuff. It's all
well. And if I go back and I think through the things that I have enjoyed the most over the last year, or if I take this year as an outlier and I go back and think of the things I enjoyed the most the year before, I can't even list it on a single hand. Like there's no part of that was like, oh man, I really enjoyed the random story I read on Reddit or the random YouTube video that I loved. Like none of it mattered at all. Like and like that's a strong sentence to say. Like obviously it mattered to know things and to help shape me as a person to know the sorts of things, but it certainly isn't a thing that I
don't want to keep going back to random anecdotal things that I've read here and there, because this show is not about me trying to play armchair psychologist of the world, but our mutual friend Young showed me years ago a really good article. I think it was an article that like linked into a video, because I definitely remember video elements, but anyways, about how we all say that our priorities are our family, our work, our education, fitness, blah, 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 or our financial obligations or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we don't really act that way. And that's been true of people for a long time now, even before social media with like television. Yeah. People would do the same thing. They, turn on the TV at dinner. They turn on the TV right after dinner. They spend an hour or two, and not that's no blaming anyone for sitting in front of the TV. I have binged a show or two this pandemic. Not guilty. Yeah. But I think it's a really good point. Like we definitely let our like instincts and our just, I don't want to say base urges or anything because that makes it sound like we're just super primitive, but just like we let little impulses override what we all believe are genuine priorities, and it's probably for the worst most of the time. We talked last time about why I'm off social media. That's exactly the kind of thing that I was trying to get away from when I stepped off of social media, and not to get preachy about social media, but it's a really hard line to draw. And I can tell you that I've never heard any of my friends who've taken any step back from technology, from the internet, from whatever, as having super regretted it. I had another friend who you'd love, because he's a data nerd like you, do the same thing earlier in this, before the election and stuff. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm going to just stop doing any of this. I'm going to read the front page of one website if I need news. And he's like, he
pulled the opposite of what I did, which was you know what? I've been so good. I'm just going to freaking doom scroll till I can't feel any worse about the world.
Oh, dude, you can always feel worse. I can help you feel worse if you need to feel worse. But no, and I like didn't even think about it. He told me he was doing this because he and I talk about all kinds of random crap all the time. And he said I'm not just deleting my Facebook or my Instagram, but I'm deleting the apps for them, and I'm yada yada yada. Right. Yeah. So like a month later, I was like, "Oh, how's that going for you?" He's like, "Dude, I've never been so happy in my life." He's like, I don't think I didn't even realize it, but I seriously don't think I've had a happier month in my life. And it was during quarantine. And he had just moved. He doesn't know anyone in his area. He lives with one person, and he's like bored out of his school. But he's like, yeah, I've done so much more programming, and I've done so much more. Like I've learned like so much skills, and I read a book and whatever else. He's like, I don't think I've ever been this happy just being at home, at least. And I'm like, Damn, that's a very significant thing to say.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
My biggest weakness, which I would love to make a more productive time, and honestly, I should probably use that for fitness stuff. Like, what is your morning? What has your attention in the morning? First thing, like, because for me, my that is my worst time of. I'm awake and I'm awake earlier than I want to be because of my kids, but that is, if there's any time that's going to be sucked in by Reddit, that is going to be the time, or whatever other.
Yeah. So honestly, like my weakness currently, I have actually done better about trying to be off of my phone and off of Reddit in particular, especially since the elections have like winded down. But my morning attention is always on YouTube. It's stupid. I just like scroll through a couple of different things on YouTube, watch some dumb person play a video game or watch some bike video or whatever. And like, it's probably just a really bad use of my time. I always tell myself, oh, I'm not that productive when I'm tired. It's not like I'm not the kind of person who can be focused when I'm super tired. I'll just let myself wake up and then I'll notice it's like 10 o'clock and it's like, okay, I need to go actually get my work done. And it's so bad.
Oh, man.
The morning, basically my point being, the morning is my weakness too. After that like spurt, I always get mad at myself and I actually think I do okay.
I just hate you for describing your morning as into 10 o'clock, which is.
Well, I'm lucky right now that I get to, just as long as I get stuff done, I'm fine. But
I don't resent you for it, but I resent you a little bit for it.
I know. You're probably right. A good solution to this is to try to fit physical activity in there, right? Because if you do that and then you're woken up and then you realize like there's a little bit of pressure on you after you like showered and got yourself cleaned up that it's time to start digging in on your day, and then you don't have a workout later that's going to disrupt the flow of that. So
yeah,
there's probably a lot of benefit to that.
It might be the thing that I work on after our my accountability podcast partner.
This podcast, for all our four of our listeners, this is really just for me and Jeff to make ourselves feel bad to the public about things that we do. It's all about self-change.
I just want to get my screen time under 3 hours and work out in the mornings.
What's really annoying for you about this though is and I don't want to like vent ever, but the people that I go ride with, so that's like one of my like cardio workouts that I really enjoy is going and riding, and so that's my only group thing that I do with anyone, and we do it outside and apart. But oh my gosh, I love them all. None of them are morning people. It's the worst. It's like you talk to them and they're like, hey, yeah, we'll go ride in the morning. I'll hit you up in the morning. And then you get a text at 9 that says, hey, we're running a little late. Does 11 work instead of 9:30? And you're like, I'm ready to go. What's wrong with you?
If I don't eat lunch at like 11:20, I'm dead.
Fair.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, Nick, a few things have changed since we've recorded our first few episodes.
Yes.
One of the things is we publish these now instead of just recording them to hard drives for you and I to enjoy.
Into the void. Yeah.
And it will be a fun. Honestly, we haven't even talked about it. Like, turns out publishing podcasts to everywhere that podcasts are found is a whole deal. But you can now find them everywhere podcasts are found, and if you can't, then let me know, and I will happily get them up there.
Okay.
I have let a handful of friends and family know. Nick, do you want to guess how many people have downloaded our podcast at this point?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to say like 6 unique or something like that.
How many?
Like 6 or 7 unique.
I think that's
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you have.
I think that's about right. We've had 19 downloads and we've had 3 episodes, so let's call it 6 unique.
Sure.
Yeah. So something like that. So good job, us. We've
for all 6 of you, I appreciate you. I don't know if any of them are my wife or your wife. Katie
they
and
are.
Jen, appreciate you.
At least my wife is. So
we listened. We streamed it, which I assume will still count as a download.
I think so. I did see one thing from the website. Was that what you were on?
No, you're on Spotify.
Oh, okay. Well, I saw a couple from Spotify, so you're one of the Spotify ones.
There you go.
But yeah, so that's been fun. Maybe we'll talk about that some other time, of just the process of going through all that. It's pretty cool. I did register the domain, so you can go to tywsap.com. Nick, how would you say tywsap? I've thought about this a little bit.
I see that you have in the
Oh gosh, I spoiled
Thai
it.
Wasap? Thai Wasap?
Thai Wasap. I think it's Thai Wasap. Thai
Wasap?
Yeah,
Okay.
ThaiWasap.com.
I like that.
It currently goes to nothing. But you can follow at ThaiWasap at any of the social medias. Again, they don't go to much of anything other than empty social media profiles, but maybe we'll get that rolling at some point.
I'm gonna have my first cringe dad thing on this. I just want to let you know, if you put a comma after the Thai there, it really looks like you're saying like, "Thai, what's up?" It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Okay, well that's great. Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, that's my valuable input on the subject. Yeah.
All right, Thai, what's up?
That's bad. We gotta cut that one.
We'll see how it lands. And then one last thing I wanted to mention: a particular couple of people I listen to, both their podcast and their YouTube channel. They are supporting a charity called Partners in Health they're currently supporting the MCOE, which is the Mother Center of Excellence in Sierra Leone, and their main goal is to improve the conditions for motherhood mortality.
Maternal health.
Maternal health. Sorry, you're right.
You're good. You're good.
But there's way too many mothers that die in childbirth, and too many children that die in childbirth, and that is among, if not the worst in the world. And so they are trying to raise $25 million. They need $20 million before they can break ground. I will leave a link to a video if you want to learn a little bit more about that. But if there's anything that this podcast can do, I would like it to be something like this, where we can support something as good as this cause. I can't think of a less I cannot think of a less polarizing, better cause for this podcast than this. I personally have supported them over the last year, and will Katie and I will be increasing the donation that we make. But if there's even a few bucks that you can toss their way, this is there's
a universal cause, right? Like, it's not everyone in the world would agree that, mothers dying in childbirth is just not. It's just. Yeah,
exactly.
It's one of the things that we should be isolating as a society.
There are many, many good causes that you can give your money to, but if this is the thing, I would greatly appreciate it. It means a lot. You can let us know if you donated at thaiwasap@gmail.com, or if you have any other random things to say to us, that is our email address. It really would mean a lot. You should go check out the video if this is something you're interested in. Again, there's many great causes that you can give money to, but if you're looking for something to close out 2020 with a more positive note, you can't ask for a more positive note than this.
Agreed. The link for that, in case anyone's not looking at a thing, is pih.org/HankandJohn.
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
No worries.
This has been the year that we started the podcast. Thank you for listening. Nick, thank you for potting with me.
Of course.
And have a fantastic rest of your day. Now, it's a little nerdy, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, it's fine. I feel bad. At the end of the last one, I said later, and I was like, that's a dumb thing to say.